I was just chatting and I realized it's
Photo
7
on that
o'clock.
Facebook thing
Yeah,
about
oh, yeah.
your HOA thing.
So, anyway,
Cool.
I think that's a
Yeah,
problem.
yeah, it was.
Oh, that's really.
I didn't know you were doing that as an addition to the.
So
I
I
was
have
gonna
that
check
clock's
if
right.
Darren was out of the room for a minute. He's back.
You're busy.
You ready?
I'm
Okay.
surprised by the
We
delta.
got recording?
So this is
Perfect.
And then someone just entered today. I mean, Darren only got it yesterday.
Thank you.
Okay. 7 p.m. We'll call this meeting of Fruit Heights City Council to order. Meeting June 16th, 2026 at 910 South Mountain Road in Fruit Heights. And welcome everyone in attendance. We're glad to have you here tonight. And we'll start with a Pledge of Allegiance led by Gary, and then a prayer or a thought offered by David. We'll go to that point.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our dear Lord Father in heaven, we're grateful we meet together as a community, as citizens and volunteers. We're grateful for the opportunities and the freedoms that we enjoy in this country, and the opportunities we have to collaborate and to serve one another. We pray that you might have the Spirit with us this evening. We might recognize the importance of peaceful collaboration, and to recognize the freedoms that we enjoy in our country. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you to you both. We'll do a roll call. Darren or Lane?
We can't,
Can't hear you.
okay, I just turned it on,
That's
sorry.
better. Thanks.
Councilmember Gary Anderson.
Here.
Councilmember Mark Cottrell.
Here.
Councilmember David Hale.
Here.
Councilmember Eileen Moss.
Here,
Councilmember Blake Winslow.
Here.
Mayor Jeannie Groberg.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Darren. Number 2, declaration of conflicts of interest. Seeing the agenda for tonight, are there any council members who need to declare a conflict of interest this evening? Seeing none, we'll go to reports, beginning with city council members. Mark, would you like to start tonight?
Okay. I had the opportunity of doing a tour of Davis County mosquito abatement and also at our monthly meeting. And I wanted just to report on a few things since we all pay taxes to the mosquito abatement. I think we need to know what the services are that we can ask for. And I learned the following items, and now I know a heck of a lot more about mosquitoes than I ever wanted to. But I saw the lab where there was about 12 people sorting through all of the testing of different mosquitoes that had been trapped the night before. And Fruit Heights has one trap, and it is, and we have this map that shows them all, but Fruit Heights has one in Nichols Park down in the Gailey Trail. And every Tuesday evening, they set a trap there. They pick it up on Wednesday morning, and then they go through and number the mosquitoes, test them for different diseases. If we have a high number of mosquitoes, then they'll start spraying a little bit more in Fruit Heights. And if any of them carry diseases, then they do some additional spraying. I also saw, and I didn't know about this, but there's a western mosquito fish, and they raise them there. And the fish can be put in ponds, certain waterfalls, and like horse troughs, anything else that has standing water. And the fish eat the larvae and the small mosquitoes. And in Davis County, there's about 900 ponds that they put fish in. So if anybody has ponds and wants that, they can reach out to them. And because of the tour, I saw in Fruit Heights there was some areas that they weren't aware of that I knew there would be maybe some standing water. So they sent some people over, and it was these 2 young women, and they had fish hiking boots all the way up to their waist. They got out of the car with a long stick with a cup on it. I went back and showed them where some of the standing water was, and she says, "Oh, cool, mosquitoes." And I'm going, I've never heard anybody get so flippin' excited about a mosquito. But when they found an area that does have that, they treat it weekly. They come out and they treat those areas. They checked 4 other areas, and there wasn't any, but they will check those weekly to see if it shows up. And then also, this is another one I didn't know about. There's 8 bikers that ride throughout the county, and they drop off larvicide pods into storm drains, curbs, and gutters. And the bikers have yellow jackets on, backpack, and if you see them dropping something in a storm drain, you don't need to be worried. They get a lot of calls to the sheriff's department, city offices, wondering what are they doing. But they will be coming through Fruit Heights 3 times a season. And then the fogger trucks at night, they run anywhere from 9 to midnight. You can call and they will spray. And when they come and spray your area, they just don't spray your street or your house. They spray, 2 or 3 streets south, north, east, west of your house. And you can call them and schedule if you have some special events a couple nights beforehand, and they'll do that. They provided us with the log, and so far this year, we've had 3 requests for spray, and 2 of them were for events. So I would encourage people, if you're having a wedding or a party in your yard and you have issues with mosquitoes, just give them a call.
And that's just part of the fees that residents pay anyway, right? So it's
Yeah.
no additional.
Yeah, part of the taxes, there's no fees at all. And then the West Nile usually starts in Davis County about the 2nd week of July, so they're gearing up for that. But Moab has already received the first one. And like I said, anybody can reach out to them with any questions, concerns, or if you need any type of services. But very interesting, and they're very good at wanting to take care of the issue and try to attack it before it becomes a major issue. So I'd encourage everybody to do that.
Cool. Very
That's it.
interesting. Thank you. That's fun to know. Love it. David, do you have anything?
Yeah, just briefly. I did meet with Darren this last week, talking about some budget items. I know we have a lot of budget things coming up in our discussions today, so I won't go into detail there. I did talk to him a little bit about the emergency preparedness for the city. He gave me a little tour of the ham radio set we have downstairs in the basement. I know that we have some concerns moving forward with the emergency preparedness in the committee and moving forward, and so we're still working on that kind of thing. So, and that's all I've got.
Okay, thank you. Harry?
I don't have anything, thanks.
Okay, Eileen?
So on our pickleball, we're waiting for Jones to get back to us with an RFP. We kind of, we know what we want, and so we just need to move forward. We're excited for that. And then on the cemetery committee, the staff is going to be digging some trenches for us, looking at some things so that when one of the things, our committee has made a really nice spreadsheet. We're just adding to it. Things we've done, things we're investigating, all of our different options, and we feel like, some of them probably aren't really where we want to go, and some of them we're hopeful we could go. Just depends. But anyway, so staff is going to help us get some trenches dug in the next couple of weeks and do some looking around and seeing what the rock situation is.
So to look for how
Boulders.
rocky or how
Yeah.
large the rocks are.
And it's really interesting because our one people that came out to look at it, when we were first talking, we met here and then we went and looked at the property. And when we were first talking with them, they were like, well, we can bring in boulders from, Farmington or whatever and, do some terracing and that kind of stuff. And they got up there and they're like, oh, we have boulders we could use. So they were actually excited to think that there might be some boulders up there that we could use for some terracing. So that was kind of good.
Interesting. Okay, is that everything? Thank you. Okay, Blake?
Okay. I had the good opportunity this week to meet with our America 250 committee, And I want to call out a couple of individuals for their work with that committee. Really, really excited for this event. It's coming up on the 29th here in the city, here at Harvey Park. I'd like to call out Jim and Jenny Frazier for their work on the committee. They've put together our float that's going to be in the parade down in Kaysville, potentially in Farmington, TBD. It's going to be just, I've seen the photos of it, I haven't seen it in person, but the amount of work that's gone into it is truly incredible. It's the North Church from Boston, and they're going to have a rider on a horse playing Paul Revere, and it's going to just be a really lovely part of the celebration of our semi-quincentennial. I also want to thank Nicole Hale for her work in putting together a really fabulous lineup of performers that we're going to have in the back here during the event. We're going to have live music. There are going to be games for kids to come and see. We just have a smorgasbord of really fun activities. Please come out. We're really excited. It just feels like things are kind of catching into gear and we're moving forward, and this is going to be an America 250 worth remembering. So other than that, that's all I've got this week, but I'm excited. We hope to see you here in 2.5 weeks? 2 weeks?
Yeah, 2.5, I think. 2 weeks.
Less than 2 weeks?
Okay.
We're on the clock. Okay. All right.
And I'll add one thing to that, which is Americana displays are welcome. If you have things, you notice beautiful quilts on your way in, that's one thing. Any other types of artwork or display items or anything you might have that you've made or think is really cool to share that's Americana related, we're going to have in the basement displayed, right? And they can bring those in starting this week or next week? Next week. So anyone watching online or in here that you have something that might be really fun to share with the community and display, to share Americana, Spirit of Americana, then please bring that in next week. We can have that as part of that event too.
I forgot one other thing I should note as well. We do really have a lot of fun things planned. One of the things that is ongoing right now is there are historical landmarks throughout the city. If you come into the city office, you'll get a little card that's got each one of them, and if you want to take your kids or grandkids or just go and see them for yourself, go and spend some time, read about the rich history that we have here, bring it back, and you'll get, I don't even know, there's just a bunch of fun prizes and swag that are positive, and it's just really going to be a joyful experience.
Yeah, and that's a fun thing for families and kids. You get a little sack of fun little prizes when they do, and you don't have to complete it, but do whatever you can on it and come get and learn a little history together. Thanks, Blake. Mayor's report, I was really just going to talk about 250 as well, and whatever, kind of share that with Blake, but that's the biggest thing. I don't think I'm going to take time on anything else tonight with that. Staff reports. Lane?
Yeah, Road Safe was here today going through the city. They striped Mountain Road, Lloyd Road, and Nichols Road, and they're working on doing some stencil work for the 25-mile-an-hour signs and some bike lanes. So they
Nice.
should be just about finished up.
Yeah, those are looking really nice out
Yeah,
there.
looks
Thank
good.
you.
Yep.
Thanks. Darren?
Just this last week, I've finished up the majority of the budget as far as making sure we got the certified tax rate from the state. I was able to get that last Friday and get that out to the council where it's going to be this year. Also, I had the chance to meet with Scott Martineau about the access up on the city property today, actually, and really good discussion about the different options that council talked about. I know restrooms was one thing. We talked about the fact that we have no drawings, we have no idea of actually all we want there. It kind of fell back and said that was maybe a long shot to go that way. We did discuss the impact up there it's actually gonna be a little bit less than when we first started the conversation. They had it surveyed, and went through that opportunity and, making sure that they didn't take more than they needed or affect the trails or affect different things. And so I've gone through and looked at that, drawing that they've sent and looked at, and then we actually had the opportunity to, discuss different things. We did kind of come to a somewhat of an agreement, and I know there's still, the council still is involved in this part of this, but as they asked me to negotiate, we went back and forth. We talked a lot of different things, impact, a monthly fee, different things like that, and we came to a price that I think is fair to the city and probably fair to the builder of between $30,000 and $35,000, because the impact is a little bit less than we began and we thought what it was going to be. We also looked at that as it could be a very good start to donations. We're asking for either the pickleball courts or something to do with the parks, and it gives a good head start on that if you want to look at that. There's some other agreements along with that, making sure things are on the individual's property, none of it's encroaching onto city property when the project's completed or as, the project's begun, making sure all the different things like that. So I'm continuing to work on that with Scott Martineau, the builder, and we'll put a contract together and have the attorneys and stuff look at it, and hopefully I can have that for the city council at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for that report. Appreciate you taking that time and meeting with Scott and working this out. I know they want to get started on that project as well, and that's good to hear that the impact is somewhat less than we might have anticipated before. Public comment period, number 4. We will move into public comment period. Public can address the city council regarding anything that is or is not on the agenda for 3 minutes. Please state your name and address when you begin, and no actions may be taken on items that are not on the agenda this evening. So public comment is now open for anyone who would like to address the council.
Linda Krismer, 1563 James Drive. And I'm just going to add to what the mayor and what Blake said about America 250. We have had the most enthusiastic committee to work with for the past couple of months. It's been a pleasure and very productive. It's a great committee to work with, and we would like to invite everybody that's here in the room today, as well as if you're at home and listening, please come to our party on June 29th at 5:30. It's going to be incredible. In fact, I've told several news stations, come to see what a little town can do to celebrate in a big way. I would like to encourage all of our residents to decorate their homes from the week of the party through the 4th of July with red, white, and blue lights, other patriotic decorations, sidewalk art on your driveways or whatever. And the last thing, just a reminder for our Americana display, if you do crafts, if you have anything, artwork, crafty needlework, woodwork, or whatever, please bring it in next week so that we will have a great display downstairs for our guests to take a look at on the 29th. So come to our party.
Thank you.
I'm here by proxy, and I just have a recording from someone who couldn't be in attendance today, so I'm just going to play that real quick, if that's okay.
Hello, Mayor and City Council members. This is Elizabeth Nielsen, and I live at 1189 Fence Post Road. I apologize that I am not able to be in attendance tonight, but I would like to share some concerns and some comments about a couple of the items on the budget as I have been learning about what was discussed at the last city council meeting and over the last little while. So the first one is regarding the parks, the $750,000 proposal to improve the parks and with pickleball courts. And I believe that part of that proposal was to remove the Boweries or the pavilions at Nichols Park. I ask that you consider not doing that. I have been talking to a lot of my neighbors, and no one is in favor of losing those pavilions. People love them. They get used so much, and they are so great. I know that the tables are in bad shape. I was there with my daughter a few weeks ago and saw how bad they are, and it makes perfect sense that they would need to be replaced. But maybe one of the reasons they are in such bad shape is I also watch the sprinklers spray everything inside and under the pavilion. So those tables are being drenched over and over and over, probably for years and years and years. I also know that the roofs of the pavilions were recently replaced, so there was money spent on that. So I'm just asking that you seriously consider not removing those, and also being mindful that these are taxpayer dollars that are being spent, and that's a lot of money. That's $750,000. And I hope that you find out from the citizens where they truly want it to be spent and how. And if it's really necessary to spend that much, that's a lot. And then second comment is regarding the survey to help with the amendments of the general plan to gather more data from the citizens. I think that is definitely worth doing, but there's a lot that goes into a survey, far more that goes into writing the questions and the responses for each question. And the reason I know this is that my doctoral dissertation was actually on the phrasing of survey questions. So as a citizen who cares about our community and knows that we want to create a survey that is non-biased and actually helps you get the information you need to be able to create a plan that works and meets not only the requirements for the state, but also the desires of the citizens, I would just offer my services to help and would be glad to do so in creating a non-biased survey. Thank you very much.
She also just wanted me to add that there's a lot of expertise, and I think we've all seen it through some of these meetings. There's a lot of expertise in our city. And with that being said, and the available technology, that we could probably do an excellent survey for maybe 5 to 15,000, and to spend, anywhere from 20 to 80,000 on another survey would be a lot of extra tax money that could be wasted. But obviously we've got a lot of smart citizens in the town and in the city that hopefully wouldn't mind pitching in to help out with any of these city matters and working together. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Mike Burnett. I live at 359 South Glen Circle. And I'd just like to mention, as the city is considering tearing down the Boweries or the pavilions or whatever and replacing them, you're also destroying the history of that structure. And what I mean by that is I had a hand in helping my son with his Eagle Scout project. So the flagpole in between the two Boweries is very special to me, okay? There was a project proposed at the start of the Fruit Heights 50th anniversary, okay, in '89. And my neighbor, Kay Lindahl, who has now passed away, proposed that somebody put a flagpole in the city between the two Boweries. So nobody decided that they wanted to do that as an Eagle Scout project until my son decided in 1990, the end of the one-year celebration, that he would do the project. So we got citizens to support who had different capabilities. Didn't cost the city a penny, okay? And so if you destroy the pavilions as they are now, you're going to destroy that history. And part of the history is there's a time capsule in the base, okay, that was put in there. Has memorabilia from that era, okay? Baseball cards that somebody had, rookie cards, the Ridge Runner, the issue of the Ridge Runner at the time that we put that in there. It was all done in a plastic time capsule, and it had the air removed so that it would be preserved, okay? And so there's a lot of scouts that were involved in that, and I was part of the crew that went in, because I worked in cement for my early career, and so we got the cement donated, we had the sand donated, and we purchased the flagpole, but the point is, there's a lot of things that people wouldn't know about just looking at it. You wouldn't know what's in there. That Larry Pulsifer is the one that did the brick, former resident of Fruit Heights. A lot of work from a lot of people was donated, and if you tear everything down and replace it with some new fancy thing, you ruin the history. And so I just would ask that you consider the history as we're now considering the history of our country. There's a history of our city that if you just ignore it and take away and replace it, it's destroyed. So just a comment about that. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is John Groberg. I live at 885 Eagle Way. And as the Council is looking to finalize the budget, I wish to speak for a few minutes in favor of the youth of our Youth City Council. Up until January of this year, I had been serving as one of the adult advisors of the YCC for the last 4 years. I'm also the parent of one of the current members of the YCC. When my wife and I were asked to serve as YCC advisors 4 years ago, we were trained and encouraged to not be directors, but rather to be advisors, and to allow the youth to lead their various projects and activities. This meant that we were to let the youth learn leadership from both of their failures as well as their successes, and to use all of these opportunities as teaching moments. While there were some failures, they were few and far between, but I have to say that the successes were contagious. And there has been an increasingly larger amount of youth that have wanted to participate in goodness in our community. Our Youth City Council is made up of teenagers in the community who are genuinely interested in community building and leadership. I've watched them run their own meetings. They've organized themselves into committees for many service projects and community leadership. I've stuffed thousands upon thousands of plastic Easter eggs with them for the annual Easter egg hunt that they put on for us, and I've helped them deliver literally tons of food that they have collected through participation in the Fable Forest and Christmas time food donations to the Bountiful Food Bank. We've placed flags on veterans' graves. We've learned about elections, fire service, and police service, and coordinating tours with the county clerk's office and the Davis County Jail and the Farmington Fire Department. We've painted positive messages on rocks to place on the Gailey Trail for people to see as they recreate in the hollow. Our youth have distributed informational messages door to door for the city, while at the same time bringing plastic bags to pick up trash in the neighborhoods where they were working. They learn about city government through mock elections, mock debates, attending the legislative session on the Hill, and participating in leadership conferences. They come each month and report to the city right here in council meetings. They pay for their own uniforms. The budget currently allocated to the YCC has been used in the past to defray the cost of the Day on the Hill and the leadership conferences, both of which the youth have been asked to pay a part of that cost out of pocket. These kids, in my opinion, represent our best hope for the future, and I would like to encourage all members of our city council to support their desire to build our community. I'd like to ask the city council to continue to financially support their efforts. They're teenagers. In a few short years, they will be out in the world. Let's give them the best support we can while they're still with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone who participated in that comment section or period. Moving on, we have nothing under presentations tonight, but we'll go to item number 6, public hearing. Darren's going to say a few things before we open this first public hearing.
So Mayor Cower, council and the public, our first public hearing is on budget amendments, which we're required to do at the end of each year or throughout the budget year. It doesn't all have to be at the end of the budget year. Most of the time it has to do with when we're over an account or there's something that we need to make sure we're covering the cost of the expenses. This year we have a couple items. We have an item in the general fund. Our attorney fees were high this year through this budget process, so that was increased by about $25,000 to bring that budget amount to about $63,000 this year. The other one is in the water fund. We had a lot of different issues happen with some broken hydrants, different things, and our equipment, supplies, and maintenance is over by about, I would say about $45,000. That would not have really been an issue in them items, but we also needed to take the capital outlay impact fee money, because that is a restricted fund, and take that out of that account. So it's showing removing the $107,000 that was going to be used for a project that is impact eligible, and then bumping the equipment, supplies, and maintenance up to $95,000. So that's what this public hearing is about, is the budget amendments. And so,
And that capital outlay impact fee, you're actually just moving it to the next budget year,
yes,
is that
it's just
correct?
moving, yes, it'll go back
We just-
into the restricted fund and then come right back
We
out.
just didn't use it
We didn't
last
use
year.
it, so, yes.
Okay,
And it can't be used for items that aren't impact eligible.
right.
Okay. So, and we'll now open the public hearing on, regarding just those two amendments, which are in order to square up and finish up the current budget year, 2025-26 budget year.
Do you need a motion, or is
I
that?
don't think I need a motion.
Okay.
The public hearing is now open. Anyone would like to comment?
Dale Kunkel, 1624 East Old Lake Lane. City Council, Mayor, good neighbors. Definitely frustrated about this amendment to the general plan, specifically around the attorney fees for the City of Good Neighbors. It seems very odd that we've had to increase our budget around contract attorney by 65%. As I look back at previous years, we really haven't had to do anything like that before. And I would just appreciate if everybody paused and thought about why that is. I think many of the people who are here understand, participated to some degree, myself included. And this seems like a frustrating thing that we have to do. I realize that in the grand scheme of the general budget, $25,000 may seem small, but I don't know that there's any person in this room that is excited about an additional $25,000 worth of attorney's fees out of their own household income situation. And I just wonder how it got to this point, and how we can be better good neighbors next year in the upcoming year, so we don't have to repeat this exercise. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no further comments, do I have a motion to close that public hearing?
Motion to close public hearing?
Motion from Gary, a second?
Second.
Second from Mark. All in favor of closing our first public hearing this evening about the amendments, please say yes.
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 Any opposed, say no. Okay, that public hearing is closed. Darren, do you have another word for us about the next one? We're going to have, next hearing is about our upcoming fiscal year, the budget that we're working to adopt this evening.
So, Mayor, Council, and residents, this is the time of the month where we adopt our operating budget for the fiscal year 2027. Part of that is we just had our public hearing to amend for our previous budget, and that'll close out usually about August. That's when all those come in. So as the councils know, this is a document we've been working on February, Gary? Probably February is actually our first meeting that we started talking about the different funds in the budget. We continued on. Friday, I was able to get the certified tax rate that is proposed this year from the county, and I just wanted to point that out. So last year, for the 2025 year, the approved tax rate was 0.001717. And it brought in about $1,409,000 in property taxes. This year, the proposed tax rate is dropped down to 0.001693. And with growth and a couple other things that they calculate into it, it'll put us really close to $1,420,000. So those are both items that go along with the budget. And so that is the public hearing for this portion.
Thank you. Public hearing for the fiscal year 2027 operating budget is now open. If there are any residents who'd like to offer any comment.
Eileen Moss. I have something that I want to present, and I think it's kind of a fun thing, actually. And so I wanted to do it during the public comment time. And so as we look at what is paid for income taxes to a city on an $800,000 home used as a residence, and if I could provide the council with this information, and then anyone in the audience, I'll just pass some of those around and you can take a picture if you want. But what's interesting about that is, as we look at our budget compared to others, you can see that in some respects we're higher and in some respects we're lower than other cities in Davis County. They're all on here, but not all of them have entered their certified tax rate online yet. Actually, I'll pass some of these out. Like I said, if you really want to take it, and otherwise just take a picture or just pass it on. But what's interesting is our city does not have a utility franchise tax of 6%. Figuring a possible electric bill and gas bill on a $800,000 home, a possible gas electric bill there, adding the utility franchise fee makes those differences between how much we charge for our property taxes and other cities charge for their property taxes quite a bit different. And in fact, the average of other cities in our county are $84 a month higher when you figure that into it. And so it's just kind of an interesting thing with our tax rate. We may be higher than some, but when you include that, we actually become lower than many.
Dale Kunkel, 1624 East Old Lake Lane. I've come to appreciate this budget process. I've had I don't know if you say privilege or not, but the opportunity to attend close to 10 of these in the last few years, and every time I've come to them, the meetings following the approval, I've learned so much. And it was through watching online or attending when I could in person that many of my questions were often resolved. I can remember probably the first meeting I came to being really frustrated with seeing an amount up there on the paper and, approaching Brandon Green after the meeting, and I was full of spit and fire about it, and he was able to explain some things to me, and as subsequent meetings that I came to, I was able to understand also. And it's just, unfortunately, city moves slow. City government moves slow, and there's a learning process around it. This last budget year, we experienced a tremendous amount of what I might call bureaucracy in our city, in the public forum. And I find it interesting that the loudest voices who had the most to say about the way the city was managed on today, a public hearing, are very noticeably absent. I encourage our elected officials to take note of that, the pressure that's been applied to you and applied to our community, and those very people who are at the forefront of that, who even complained about the lack of notice around a public hearing. They're not here. They are not here. City Council, I appreciate you continuing to help our city operate in the black. I appreciate the history of Fruit Heights being fiscally responsible, and I commend the City Council on your budget process this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Dale. Okay. If there are no others, I will look for a motion to close that public hearing.
Motion to close public hearing.
Motion from Blake. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second from David. All in favor of closing the public hearing on next year's, on fiscal year 2027 operating budget, please say yes.
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 Any opposed, say no. Okay. Thank you so much, and thank you to members of the public who have engaged.
Who seconded
This-
that?
Who seconded it?
David, thank you.
There you go. Okay, moving into number 7, discussion items, are the two items that we've just had our public hearings on. So 7.1 on the amendments. Council, is there any discussion that you wish to have about the couple of amendments that are at hand tonight for
Are we,
the budget coming to a close?
are we proceeding with both budget items, or are we doing one at a time?
Can I recommend
Do you
that we
need to-
just do the budget amendments, because that's
think-
for this current budget year, and then the budget is for the next fiscal budget operating year. So if we could do them separate, that's a lot easier.
We
for
will
us.
we will need to vote on them separately,
Yes.
of course, so, but, yeah, discussion on the amendments? Any? Okay, we can go to item 7.2 then, a discussion on the operating budget for the coming fiscal year, 2027.
So once again, council, this is the opportunity that we finalize our budget for our next year's operations throughout next year's budget. Once again, I've had the opportunity, we meet with every council member about the budget, and I do appreciate the questions that you've had. Hopefully, I've been able to answer those questions, and then that we can move forward. I do want to remind the council that throughout the budget year, we can amend budget items. If we're getting close, or there's items that you want to change, or we think we need to change at that time, we can change and amend the budget throughout the whole process, as long as we're where we need to be at the end of the year. I just wanted a reminder for that. So I just, like I said, it's council discussing time. I'm just up if there's questions, and to go through this final thing, and hopefully we can approve it. Also, along with that, is a certified tax rate that, once again, also has to be adopted tonight by resolution, so that we can go through, and it can be adopted with our budget with that certified tax rate. And once that is completed and it's approved, then I go through the rest of the process over the next couple of weeks of filing that with the county and the state, and then continue through the process of it being approved and sitting on all the different paperwork for the budget. So
So just to be clear, is this the final approval or is
this
there
is this is
additional?
the final approval for our budget for our 2027 fiscal year. And then it goes along with the tax rate, the certified tax rate, the 0.01693 is a certified tax rate that the county's gone through. So they go through and they do an appraisal for the homes in Fruit Heights City, and then they go through and divide it and come up with a rate. And so that's why you see a decrease on the rate, but they also look at growth. And so you'll see a little bit more there for growth. And, but that's the tax rate. And then they go through their process, they send it to the State Tax Commission, who goes through and looks at their process, and then they approve it, and then send it back to the county, and then it gets approved, and then it's sent to the cities, and the cities goes through. And once again, that's something that has to be adopted with the budget at this time. If we were doing a truth in taxation, we would not adopt the certified tax rate tonight. We would continue with the tentative budget that we adopted back in the 1st of May. And then we would go through the process of a truth in taxation and hearing, and then adopt a tax rate and a budget at that time. So, but this is for this next year, this budget, because we're not doing that.
Great. And we have been through this budget several times already together as it's evolved, but thank you once again, Darren, for this work. In a lot of cities, the council doesn't even really see the budget till it's the tentative budget adoption night. And we saw it long before that, or at least saw it in progress long before that. And I know it's been a lot of work to get to this point. Fiscal year starts on July 1st, so yes, tonight is our deadline for adopting this budget and certified tax rate in this case. So is there discussion on this budget further tonight than what we've had previously? Any final thoughts or questions or discussion?
Yeah, yes, please. I
Please.
do have one question. Darren, you mentioned that council can amend the budget. Now, is that only if we feel like we're approaching, or if we were to look at the budget and say, maybe we've appropriated too much in one account, is that a process that we can also go through?
Yeah, that is a process that you can go through as a council. You can go through and say, well, we decided we didn't want to use this much funds for this, and move that. That's one of the council's opportunities to legislate and policy, going through and doing that portion.
Okay.
So, yes.
Can I ask how we would handle making a proposal like that as a council? Do we reach out to you specifically? Do we reach out to the mayor? Is that a policy question in and of itself?
I think that could be done either way. You could call and say, hey, there's a concern I have or a question, can we change it? We would bring it to the council to see if that is something that we wanted to move forward with as a council. If that is something that the council decided at that time, yes, we go through the same process as we did tonight. We have a public hearing. We state why we're changing, what we're changing, the amount of money and those kind of things. The public has the right, because it's their taxpayer money, to comment on those things, and then just that process.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So if we were to decrease, this is hypothetical, but if we were to decrease, would there be a public comment period for that as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Yeah, there would.
any changes to
Yeah,
the
any
budget
big
as of
changes
right
to
now?
Now, yes, if you want, as a council wants to come in and decrease an amount on the budget, yes. If it's a capital project and you're saying, we're not gonna do this project, we're not gonna spend that money, no, we don't have to.
And we can actually wait till the
Yeah.
end of the year
And at the end of
and do
the
just what we did with if it's a
Yeah.
restricted fund.
If
then
it's
we
a
do
restricted,
just
it's
what we
gotta
did.
go back in.
Yeah.
Okay.
We
But
would
if
do
it's,
just what we
if it's
did.
just the other, then no, so,
Okay, thank you.
yep.
I have some questions, if that's okay.
You may, go ahead.
Thank you. I met with Darren for quite a while today. on our budget, he recognizes that we still have issues with our, kind of the bottom of every line on the capital project, all the things with our net income and our restrictions and our fund balances. They just, they don't add up.
Right.
That the formula is wrong, but that is not an integral part of the budget.
No.
So moving forward, there were a couple of other things that he and I spoke about today. Things like the sewage treatment expenses are quite a bit higher than what the budget is. It's not going to be an under, it's going to be an over. But what Darren made me understand today is that we still have, even though we are passing this, we still have the opportunity to, as things come in, pay the bills and make transfers in and out of the general fund to capital projects. So a couple of things that I'm hoping that we can change, and I recognize that maybe we can't change them tonight, is I would love to see us in the future have a policy where we get a consolidated budget. It's typically just a push of a button where it would show, for instance, all the employee salaries as just a bottom line, all the employee benefits as a bottom line. Every category would have just a bottom line so that it is just a consolidated budget. I think that would be helpful to the council. The other issue that I am struggling with is we have, in my opinion, severely overfunded our capital vehicle and equipment fund. That fund has typically been about 10 to 12% of the city budget. And just due to some, maybe we'll say favorable conditions with vehicles and the resale and different things, that fund in this current budget, and Darren has asked me that we not change it tonight, but that fund has $1.5 million in it. And in my opinion, it probably needs to be closer to 10 to 12% of our city budget, which is going to put it down to more in the $400,000 to $500,000 range. So that's going to be another $1 million that we need to move to capital projects. So I'm hoping that we can do that at some point in time during the year, and then set a policy for how we want that to happen in the future. We also have been sort of overfunding our solid waste fund. We didn't, some of that we didn't know for sure that we were going to get a grant to put the garbage can, the recycle cans out. And we did get a grant for that, and so that is a fund that continues to rise, even though it is supposed to be just a pass-through fund. We're not supposed to be making money on it. We're not supposed to be gaining, but like it or not, we are.
But
And
along
so-
with that one too, as you remember, we're now in charge of all the recycling cans. We're in
Yes.
charge of all the
So we do have to
green
save.
waste. So we do have money that
For
we're using for wages and we're using for
Can replacement.
replacement. Well,
But-
not that, and office for all the billings
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. So there is a
But-
certain amount.
Yes.
And this last year with the increase from the landfill, we didn't increase our
Right, we didn't
rates.
pass that along.
We kept our
But
rates the same,
we're-
and we'll be really closer. You'll see this next year with the costs.
Okay.
So,
So, yeah, because we don't want that fund to continue to increase. The other fund that we talked about that we don't want to continue to increase would be our sewer fund.
Yes.
And Darren has figured out that we maybe have not been charging the sewer fund for some of the things we should have been charging the sewer fund for. So we're going to work a little harder to not have an increase in the sewer fund. Then one of the big funding issues in this budget is, and Darren, I want you to speak to this, because I'd like it on, so people can hear. We've talked, but I'd like it so that you could talk about our benefits. If you go through and you add up the benefits, they are up 81% from last year. And the state has required that we do something different. And so I'd like you to speak to
So
that, if you would.
the new state law from this last year requires to show what the full benefit package would be for each employee. Even if they're not taking the insurance, even if they're not on the retirement, all those everything, you have to show that in your budget. So that is a big increase this year as you go through and look at that, because we have multiple employees that don't take any insurance, or then, they're not into the retirement program, but you do have to show those expenses. And you have to show the full expense. You're not just, okay, it's just a single person, so I'm only gonna be a single rate. You have to show the full expense for that individual. I've been working and going through different scenarios, not only reading through the law a little bit closer, but talking with the CPA. One good thing about what we can do and what we will do this next year, I'm gonna say a lot of those funds are coming from the water and the sewer and all those kinds with transfers into the general fund. We're able to reduce those transfers as we get closer to the end of the year for the money that's not going, so that money can move into those fund balances, which can help us in the future getting more projects finished.
So that money, even though it's allocated in this budget, if it is not spent, so one of my questions would be, if it is not spent and it's in a restricted fund, are we going to have to do, or are none of them in restricted funds?
No, none of them can be in a restricted fund.
Okay.
I will tell you.
And do we have to do budget amendments to use
No,
them?
you don't have to do it. You don't have to do a budget amendment.
Okay.
As we went through the whole process, and I will tell you, this is one that I've been trying to learn a lot on the last couple of months, especially after I found out it was required from the auditor last year that we should be doing that. I've asked the auditor a lot of questions. I've asked our CPA a lot of questions, and the way we're able to the way we do our payroll, or the way we budget for employees, we're able to pull that money back in to those funds that it comes from if it's not being spent by that same percentage.
Okay.
So yes, at the end of the year, for those employees that are not taking insurance, or we're gonna be able to take that and split that back up in those funds that it was taking from. So it gives that opportunity for that, once again, that fund balance to build up to help do projects or to cover things. So, yes.
So when you say show in the budget, what you mean is that we have to have that funding available.
You have to
in our
show that
budget.
funding there for each employee if they were taking the full amount.
Right, and the thinking is that
If
should
somebody left
somebody
or someone come
required,
in,
someone left
you're
or
not
came
amending
in.
your budget to hire a new person.
Right.
It's already in your budget, and they have those opportunities for the
If you
benefits
have
right away.
the 25-year-old employee that's still on their parents' insurance and they leave, and you get the 36-year-old employee that has 4 kids and they need a family plan.
You have to have that there in the budget, so.
Or changes in current employees' lives that precipitate that
Right.
too,
Yeah.
where they're not taking it. They could, in the middle of the year, suddenly
Oh,
decide
yeah,
they
or
need to
something
take it,
changes
get
in the
married, or
middle of the
whatever
year.
happens,
That they have an opportunity.
Have a child,
if
whatever
there's
it is.
something life-changing,
Yeah.
marriage,
So-
kids, or something, they have
So-
the
It
opportunity to
needs to be
change
there.
at that time.
Needs to be there.
And you need to have that money available for that too,
Right, so we're not
so.
in a position where we can't hire someone that's
Right.
Then
for
needs
the
full-
city
yeah.
Yeah.
until we have we don't need
Yeah.
to amend for that, so
Yeah.
we have that covered.
We
Okay,
have
that makes
that,
sense.
yes.
That makes sense,
So,
thank you.
yeah, when you go through it and you start reading the different law about it and talking, that is part of the reason as cities have lost individuals or they've hired individuals, they're hiring these people and they're paying it, and they don't have the funds to do it.
I see.
They've
They've overcommitted their budget.
They've overcommitted their budget, or they're not collecting the right amounts.
I see.
And so that's part of that protection. I want to say it's protection for the city, that they're showing what those maximum funds would be
Right.
if you went that way.
Makes sense.
So just a couple of other little items, and we've talked about this too, is I would hope in the future that we don't add dollars to restricted funds. We need a line item so that we're using our restricted funds when we can use our restricted funds and not creating issues by potentially sticking money in a restricted fund and making it be restricted. And so Darren and I have talked about adding another line. Potentially, probably the biggest area for that would be the roads fund. And right now, we currently are adding money from the general fund to our restricted Class C funds for roads, which we're going to do some road projects this year, a lot of road projects. We do have some money that has not been spent, and we're going to do something over $900,000 worth of road projects this year. And so we have, Darren and staff have put together about 11 different roads they're hoping to work on this year. So that's, I think, an exciting thing for us.
Fantastic. Yeah.
And then I'm struggling with the pot for the merit. And I think we need a better handle on that. Merit, in the past, we have basically taken the full amount that we were going to look at, and maybe it was just like 0.5% more than a COLA, and said use, maybe the 4% and spread that and have some of that be your COLA and some of it be your merit, recognizing that some people who are lower on the pay scale, 3% to them means a lot more than 3% to someone that's higher on the pay scale, but that person that's higher on the pay scale, when they get their 3.5% COLA, is going to be a lot bigger of a raise. And so when we get around to making motions, I'm going to suggest that maybe we look at a 3% merit on top of the 3.5% COLA. And that doesn't mean that money has to get spent. It means that there's money there. If somebody does something that increases their skill set, then we can bring them up the pay scale a little bit. And then the other thing that I would like to propose, years ago, we used to parade a bunch of nonprofits through the city council, and they would all ask for their money, for money for this and money for that. And as a city, we finally set a policy because we felt like as a city, we have a very, very heavy sledgehammer to take money away from people. And when we take the money away from people and we give it to others, we have to be very, very careful. And I look at our youth city council, and while I recognize they are great kids, many cities much bigger than us do not fund for our youth city council. We have some good kids, and we need them to be invested. And so I'm hoping that we can reduce that amount to $5,000 as well when we get around to making our motions. So that's my discussion items.
Can I answer one of your things about the COLA?
Yes.
So when I do the COLA, I agree. Somebody that's making more money is going to get a bigger COLA. How I do that is I take an average, I put all the wages, I take an average, and I base that as the COLA, and everybody gets that same flat rate for the COLA. So it doesn't matter if you're making $20 an hour or $40 an hour, everybody's going to get that same rate. So
if everyone's going to get $7,000,
everybody's going to get that.
Everybody's going to get
Yeah,
$7,000.
everybody's going to get that.
Okay.
The merit is different.
Yes.
I do base the merit off accomplishment and goals that we've set for this last year. We go through, I have a meeting with each employee, and Lane also has a meeting with each Public Works employee. So I have the opportunity to meet with each employee, go through the projects, go through the goals that they set this last year, what goals they're looking at this next year. Is there training that they went and did? Just everything to make them more valuable for this city. And that's how I base the merit, by things that they have accomplished or things that they're continuing to learn. I will tell you one thing about Fruit Heights City. Every one of our employees wear multiple hats, and I think the council can agree to it. If you go to other cities, you have a city manager, you have a city recorder, you have a assistant city manager, you have an HR division, you have just a whole bunch of different things. Fruit Heights, we don't do that. We have very few employees. We currently have 10. Actually, I'm going to say we have 11 because we hired one and one's retiring. But each one of them wear multiple hats and do multiple different things. So when the city asked me to go forward and compare to the other cities, I did do that. I called all the cities. I got their pay ranges. I got the different things. The hardest thing is I asked them, I said, this is what my employee does. Would you send me? And I just get a pay range for every one of their employees. So I have to look at every one of those employees, and I tried to take an average of where, okay, this person does this person does this person. Okay, these people get paid this much. I took an average of each one of those, and that's how I put the pay scale together, and put that out, and when I sent it out to the council. So I think one thing, Fruit Heights has a great opportunity. We have a great staff. They're willing to work hard. They're very dedicated to Fruit Heights, and they all want to learn, which is a great thing. It doesn't happen in all the different cities. I've had multiple public works directors and multiple city managers continue to ask how Fruit Heights does it with so few people. And it's not me as the leader, it's the dedication that our staff has and the willingness that they're willing to do more than just one job, which is important. And a part of this increase was to bring some of those employees up to that bottom range of that pay scale I sent out. And so that's why there is maybe that amount is too high. But as a city manager, I'm going to stand up for what I believe is right for the employees, and I do understand, and I agree with the council 100%. The budget is the council's responsibility to approve and to represent our wonderful residents in this city. But I also have the opportunity to stick up for the employees, for everything they accomplish. The employees are making sure the roads are plowed, they're making sure the potholes are fixed, they're making sure people are getting their questions answered here every single day. And so I think that's important, that we are being competitive not only with surrounding cities, but we've lost multiple employees to private companies over the past few years. And we've trained many employees that once they've got trained, they can step aside and go to a different city and make $2 or $3 more an hour. And so I think it's important to watch out for employees as we go through that. So.
And I would say, so my social security raise COLA was 2.7% this year, and we're doing 3.5. And we do have great employees. I've had opportunities to notice their work, and that's why I said let's do another 3% for merit, because quite frankly, that's quite a bit more than most people have gotten in the last year. It's quite a bit more as you talk to people out in the private sector. Private sector, things are tight, and I have spent time questioning and people who hire and just that 6.5% is pretty generous. So,
Yep, and- so-
To help me to understand just a little bit, so with the looking at comparables with other cities and seeing that there was opportunities here, or there was areas where I recognize that this is not always apples to apples, right? You know, if you wear multiple hats, you might still have a job that is smaller or larger than surrounding communities. But we are not, with the proposed budget in front of us, we're not creating a policy where we are going to continually look at pay scale around the community to try and match where people are at and be more competitive that way, or is this a one-time catch-up, essentially? Is that what I'm understanding with that kind of conversation?
I will tell you, I really do think the council, in the next few months, needs to look at the pay scale. I think we need to adopt a pay scale. As I've talked to surrounding cities, they do two different things. Each year, they look at their pay scale and compare it. And they either say, nope, it's matching up, or they give a percentage to the whole pay scale, and the whole pay scale changes. We haven't done that in Fruit Heights City. I know before we've actually gone out and asked other cities where they're paying and that comparison. But I think that's a council looking at the pay scale, looking and, you know, creating a policy for it.
and maybe we hire
and-
somebody to do that, but also look at private sector as well as public sector, because public sector typically does have some pretty good benefits that private sector doesn't necessarily offer.
So a part of that pay scale, as you remember when I put it out there, it had 3 different pricings on there. South Weaver, just this very first of this year, actually hired a private company to go out and survey not only surrounding cities, they also use cities close to their same size, which would be close to Fruit Heights. They're a little bit bigger than us. And just to get a comparison, and that's where they came up with their pay scale, is from this company. I compared a lot of ours to them because we are very close to that. And as you go through our pay scale that I did put together just as a presentation, the majority of the ones we line up is with South Weaver. And that's the lowest pay scale out of all the cities I got. There's a couple others. I think Centerville has a couple positions that may be in that pay scale that are a little less, and so I went with that one. So, and then I did one pay scale for the county average. And like I said in the last meeting, I did take out Layton and I did take out Bountiful, which are like the 2 highest right now in Davis County. I didn't think we compared with them. I know they're our competition, and maybe I should have put them in there, but
Lane doesn't want to work for Layton.
yeah. So, but
He likes his autonomy, I hope.
yeah. So, but along with that, I think I agree with you 100%. There are benefits of working for a small community. If there wasn't, I wouldn't be here. I've been with Fruit Heights City for 33 plus years, starting in the parks and being able to look where I am now as a city manager. I know a lot of these residents personally, that I've met for over the years and I've talked to, and I could tell you where they live. I could tell you, things probably about their family. And that's a great thing about working for a small community and being able to get out and meet the people. And I agree, it is a benefit. That is a benefit. Because I bet most of the people in here could maybe say they know me, that they've met me out. So I think there are some benefits of a small community that you don't get at a big community, or you don't even get in the private sector. But once again, I do really think it's important to look after our staff, not only that they can make a living and feel like it's a place they want to grow and continue, but to be a part of it and have buy-in, which our staff really does. I will tell you, this last year, a lot of questions about the budget as we went through the process. You know, things may not work. Okay, let's see if we can fix it and make it go another year. We just didn't, even though we may have had the money to budget for it, you know what? Like, I'll give you an example. For the last 2 years, our folding machine for billing is, you just have to really talk nice and tap it in a couple spots and just really talk sweet to it. And it works.
Don't look at it while it's
If
running.
you come in and you bump something wrong, you spend an hour trying to get it to fold things properly. And they take that, and they take pride in that, and they know what to do, and they know how to do it, and they've all kind of know little tiny little tricks to make sure it works. But it's not money that we feel like we're wasting. It's money that we're being able to use forward, and that's our staff. Our staff has a really good buy-in for this community, and I feel like that's important for the council to know, so.
Thank you. Thank you. Further comments on these things?
Yeah, I think the success of any organization is based on the employees and their loyalty and their dedication. The employees that we have here are absolutely awesome. And I would encourage everybody in the city council to really understand who they are, understand what their responsibilities are. And I was out with one employee, and we're doing one item, he gets called to something else because he's wearing multiple hats, and took care of that. I think the information you sent out to us on the pay raises, the different settings of where we compare to other cities, I think we need to support going forward with your proposal, because if you lose employees, it's hard to rehire. And sometimes you have to hire at a higher rate to even get somebody. And so I think the analysis that you did was very good, to be able to compare the cities our size, and also the average. But throughout all of those, we have a major shortfall. And I think we need to increase that and take care of our employees. I'm a real firm believer in how you treat your employees, it's going to come back to you 100-fold. The other comment I would have on the YCC is, I believe the last couple of years we've been at the 7,000. And I would have an issue if the city was paying everything for the YCC. But I think they have to also buy into, spend money out of their own pocket, or their parents step up and help them. But they got to have some meat in the game. But I think we as a city need to support them. And if you look back on all the activities they do monthly, the food drives, how much they help set up, all the activities, it's well worth what we get out of the city for $7,000. So those are my thoughts.
Thank you, Mark. David, you have anything? Gary? Okay, Blake, anything else?
Well, I would echo the sentiment that we have fabulous staff. I've had the good opportunity to meet with some of our staff doing America 250, and the overall experience here at the city has been one that I treasure. I'm grateful for people who put in work when things are difficult, when the environment can be highly stressful, and we have staff that, part of what we as a city have to offer to our residents is a duty of care that goes beyond what most organizations do. We are required as a city to protect our citizens, making sure that our water is always something that we feel confident letting our kids drink. Those sorts of things can become a background item in our minds. It's something that's come to the forefront of my mind this past year, though. As I watch my kids drink water, we drink it out of the tap, and I never worry that what they're drinking is going to cause a serious illness. And that, for me, is just I want to extend that as just a feeling of gratitude and a new sense of learned appreciation that I have for our community here, not just water, but for a lot of the things that we provide. YCC is another thing that I've come to really greatly appreciate, being around the youth as they run their meetings. The cost itself is not a huge line item in our budget, but I do think that it's well worth it to have some funding there for them to do Easter egg hunts and to participate in parades.
That doesn't come out of their budget.
But that the opportunity here is also one that we have to be careful of with. I don't want this to become something that if we have youth that don't have a lot of funding, that they're not being excluded simply because they can't afford to join because of the pass-through costs to put on them. As an opportunity, I would really hope that there is a little bit built in there so that if we have youth that meet certain thresholds, that we are able to cover costs for them. I don't want to see their finances stop them from being able to be involved, so.
So, to the point of the Youth City Council, I believe the projected budget for 2026 was $6,154. So, with the next year's budget being $7,500. So, I'm not sure why we would increase it. In fact, I think particularly things like going up to Utah State need to be a privilege and not necessarily something offered to everybody that wants to come.
I would agree, and but with that being said, a good portion of that does come back through the youth that would attend, whether it's USU or going up to the Capitol. They
Those are the
pay
two items.
to go towards that.
Yeah.
And I don't think I called Darren today to ask, and we don't have those numbers exactly.
You don't have those numbers yet?
Of what was collected, but I agree with you. We do have, where we're at right now with YCC is we don't have leaders, and so we're not proceeding with anything right now. And we're hoping to find some new leadership for that. In the interim, we're not doing anything. So I have 16 youth that have applied that have not heard anything from us as a city.
Which is less than last year then.
We have 16 that have applied. We have 20 that are on council that from last year that are welcome to reapply. So that's a potential total of 36 if everyone were to be able to apply and get in, which I'm not recommending. I'm not making any recommendations for how the YCC function, but I do want to make sure that if we're going to continue with the program that we are going to continue in a way that we're not blocking out any youth because of their financial background.
So the other thing is speaking to the salaries and benefits, since we are having to increase our budget for the benefits portion as well, we need to be mindful that the salary and benefit increase that's proposed is $399,407, almost $400,000 in increases to salaries and benefits in this budget has been proposed.
What was the increase just for benefits?
Benefits?
The majority is all the benefits. Though.
Yeah, you have to look at,
Benefits were $222,960, and salary increases $178,447. Salary increases end up being approximately 19% benefit increases, 23%. So $400,000 just in increases. That's a pretty steep.
no, but you have all those benefits that the state's forcing on us that you gotta really take out of the equation. You gotta look at what the salary portion is.
Well, but that is part of our exposure.
Okay, but going back to the youth council, the 6154 that you referred to is the estimate so far.
Right.
The budget last year was with uniforms 500, miscellaneous expenses 7,000. So we are not increasing it this year.
I thought it was at 7,250,
Well,
the proposed increase.
But the point is what we've spent, as you just said. So uniforms, that is for the leadership, I believe, right?
Yes.
And then,
But like was said earlier, the youth are our future. And I think they learn a lot, and we're not increasing it over what we had last year. And then also on the salary, there's a big difference between those of us that are on Social Security and those that are in the work environment. You can't
I would
do
tell you that quite a few
comparison.
people in our city are trying to live on Social Security.
Well, that's not what I'm saying. When you pointed out that, why would we have our employees make more than a 2.7% increase? You can't compare, that's not comparing apples to apples.
Well, to someone who's only living on Social Security, it is. It is. And we do have people in our city that are trying to live on Social Security only.
But I think the relevant comparison is not like Social Security, but what that employee can make elsewhere doing this job.
Right.
Or one
And-
similar to it. Like, the
But-
Social Security is a little bit irrelevant. Like, retaining employees and compensation is about what their other opportunities are, or what replacing them would cost the city, which is oftentimes more than what we're currently paying. And we see that with this wage comparison, that this study that's been done, is that we are way off the low end of compensation amongst the comparable jobs available to our staff nearby. And the other side of that coin, what it would cost us to replace each or any one of them, if that were necessary. And so that's our real comparison that we need to look at to be relevant with that. And I say way off field, it varies a little bit according to position, of course, but we're not even shooting for being average. We're shooting for being somewhere in the very lowest to like maybe a little bit above the lowest in most cases in the county. So like, because we're down here, so we're shooting for just a little bit, touching the South Weber or anyone else who's at the bottom of that comparison, or maybe slightly above in some cases, but keep that perspective in mind. I think the comparison is difficult, as has been described. Apples to apples is a really difficult thing when you have small staff and they're doing many jobs, and to find a real comparison for that is tough. But Darren has done, I think, as fine a job as could be done with that for us, and even removed the top two, the largest, highest paying cities. So that's not even actually figured in the average, even though, as he said, maybe it should be. I think that's the more relevant comparison to keep in mind with retaining our excellent staff.
And I did want to remind everybody that the sewer district will have a fee increase this year of $3 that will start out after their July bill.
And
So-
are we passing the entire thing along?
Yes.
Before we go, out of this portion, I do actually want to take the opportunity to express appreciation for the staff. We do have a great staff, and we don't always see eye to eye, but that doesn't matter. It's you guys do a great job, and I appreciate what you do. So,
Here.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Gary.
Okay, we will move into action items. 8.1, to approve or deny resolution 2026-10, the amendments to fiscal year 2025-26 budget.
motion to approve Resolution 2026-10, amendment to fiscal year 2025-2026 budget.
Thank you, Gary. Have a motion from Gary. Do I have a second?
I second.
A second from Mark. Is there any further discussion on these amendments? Okay, we'll have a roll call vote for those when you're ready.
Yes.
Mark Trill,
Yes.
David Hale,
Yes.
Eileen Moss,
Yes.
Blake Winslow.
Yes.
Thank you. Those amendments are adopted unanimously, or passed unanimously. Item 8.2, to approve or deny the resolution, hopefully approve, we need to, 2026-11, adopting the fiscal year 2027 operating budget and certified tax rate at .001693. Do I have a motion for that?
I make a motion that we approve the resolution 2026-11, adopting the 2027 operating budget and certified tax rate of 0.001693.
Thank you, Mark. And have a second?
Second.
Second from Blake. Is there any further discussion on this motion before we vote?
I'd like to make a substitute motion that we make a couple of changes to our budget, and we decrease the amount for the East City Council to $5,500, and we approve a 3.5% COLA with a 3% amount available for merit raises.
I'll second that.
I have a substitute motion from Eileen and a second from Gary to reduce youth council budget by $2,000 and
This is a pay scale?
Okay.
Would that be, well,
try to restate what you said. And COLA at 3.5 and capping merit at 3%. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, is there discussion on the substitute motion?
Well, I think you know my thoughts. I don't agree with that motion at all.
On capping the pay merit, I appreciate that Darren has spent a lot of time working with the staff and Lane as well, and evaluating merit, and so I trust that they are able to work within whatever capacity, whatever range we allocate for that amount. And I think 3% in the private industry, in addition to already getting a 3.5% increase, seems a very reasonable maximum amount.
I would ask, on the youth council, I guess I'll ask that one first. Why 5,500?
It is only slightly less than what we spent this year, and I think we need to be in a position where it's truly a privilege to go to things, and not everyone just expects that they get to go to things.
What would you think about agreeing to contribute the same amount to the senior class that we've contributed in the past, but we haven't limited it to the senior class to go to these year-end or these events? What would you think?
So, the budget where it is now was, I can speak to that because as the advisor, I put together these numbers knowing what the costs are for those events. And so it's not an arbitrary number. It's built on real numbers that, the tuition that is charged for these things, and minus a portion that we would ask the families to pay. The numbers are already limited, actually. For going up to USU, the event itself limits you at a certain number. So not everyone goes, not everyone can go.
Can you give us some?
They limit you at 20. You can't take more than 20 up there. I think maybe there's only been once that we took that many. It usually ends up something less than that. Not everyone is, they have busy schedules. Not everyone's able to go. So there's a limit there built in. The Day on the Hill tends not to be everyone either because it's a school day. It oftentimes falls on the first day of a term, and there's, several of them that don't want to miss that day. It's most often seniors that will go to that one. But that's up to them. Neither of those are mandatory. They're optional, but they choose whether they want to go or not and whether there's room to go in the case of USU. So,
What
so I feel like there's already some limits built in or
what do
sort of
the-
self-limits.
what have the students contributed, not specifically, but
What does each
like
one?
what in traditionally, like in the last year, 2 years or 3 years, what have they done to contribute? Like, have they paid $50, $100? What is, help us understand.
Do you
Sure.
recall that cost? I
Sure.
think it was,
For USU, I believe it's been 50 for the past few years.
I think it was 75 this, I could be wrong. I don't know, but I remember that it was like, come in and pay your fee.
And you may be thinking of a combined, because I think for the Day on the Hill,
Oh,
it
yeah,
was
totally,
25
totally.
each. And for USU, had them pay $50 each to go. As I said, they pay 100% of their apparel costs. So just giving a little background, I happen to know that the budget that's constructed for them is based on real numbers, that most typically not everyone goes to Day on the Hill anyway, because of reasons I've said, and that not everyone can go anyway to USU. And when it comes to limiting those, you would start with seniors and work downward from there. That's the most logical thing, I think. It would probably be up to their advisors,
So
which
if
I'm
you
not
ask
anymore,
them-
but that would be a logical way to do it, I would think.
If you ask them to pay $100 towards USU, then that pretty much makes up the difference in that funding almost.
I guess it does, but they're volunteering as youth to come and be, it's like the city is supporting them because they're contributing their time. They come every month and meet, they plan activities for the city. This is support for our youth being engaged in community and civics and leadership and service and learning opportunities. And the opportunity to go to these events in a way that is substantially supported by the city is kind of like, that's how our city supports them for doing that. I mean, the number of hours that they put in being here, the number of hours of service and planning and, doing all the things that they do, and that benefits our city. That's kind of the sort of a reward for, there are many rewards to doing service, of course, but that's kind of a reward from the city of like, we're going to support you going to these cool events that are out there for you, as thank you for what you're doing for our community. And we, sends a message that we support growing our youth, developing our youth. They are our future. And we have great youth, I'll tell you that. We have some great youth that are really engaged and really wonderful kids. And providing these opportunities is, to my mind, as a parent in the world today, and looking at the landscape of civic involvement and things, is one of the most positive things you could support at a very low price tag. A very low price tag. And I don't see a reason to cut it, and I feel at $5,500, it's arbitrary. I don't know what that's based on. I do know what the 7,000 is based on.
To me, this is such a small portion of the overall budget. To me, it seems like there's some underlying message here to be having this type of a discussion for, $1,500. There's something else feeding this, I think.
Sure.
I don't know what that
I can
is.
speak to that. We had an incident with our YCC at at the USU where some of our youth have been invited not to be on our council anymore. No tax money went towards paying any of those things, but it was handled. And if there are concerns there, I can understand that. And where that is a relatively smaller part of this secondary motion, I appreciate that. I would like to also just kind of clarify with this substitute motion, though. The percentage towards the staff, that's an upper limit, correct? Because the merit also would include if staff get new certifications, correct?
And there is the option, if Darren came back in 6 months and said, hey, this person did this, and this, and I think we need to reward that merit, again, amend the budget.
And I think this goes without saying, but I don't think this includes one member that was really kind of changing jobs.
Right.
Well, I guess
But
to
as
me,
you step up,
to
then
me,
someone
when
else
you,
is leaving.
to me, this motion doesn't limit you from moving him into the position that you wanted to.
Because you already have someone in that position that's leaving.
He's taking their spot.
Yeah, but I didn't budget for that employee for a year, only budgeted for him for 2 months, and that's it.
Oh, so there's a specific personnel decision that could be part of this that
So-
might be a little more sensitive
And there, again,
of a conversation.
Yeah, let's,
maybe we have a
careful
conversation
with
about
that.
that.
Is that appropriate for a closed meeting?
I
No,
think
it
it would-
doesn't
If we're
need to
gonna,
be.
if
Well,
we're
no, I
gonna
think-
discuss
I
a
think
single
if we were to-
individual.
If we were to talk about specifically a specific salary, that should be in a closed meeting.
Okay,
I do not believe that should be
But
a public meeting.
okay.
But it's, honestly, I guess my thought is that this motion is not intended to limit you from moving that person into the
To-
position that you have planned to move them into.
I would agree with that. I would, as,
It limits the wage for that individual.
well, you put in what, I mean, we have to replace someone. So you're obviously going to bring that person up. And I don't think that's part of this merit. That's just a promotion based on needing to backfill a position and backfill another position. So I would not take that as part of our limits. That's not a merit. That's a backfilling positions. And that's not a COLA.
To me, they're
That's-
taking on a new job or
That-
new responsibilities.
Right.
Is the concern that might be,
The intent is not to limit you from being able to put that person,
To,
that individual in the spot that you've planned to put them into.
right.
That, I'm trying to clarify, that's not the intent.
sure.
Darren, do you have concerns with this? Do we need to move to a closed session to discuss this?
No, I'll just what the council asked me to do.
So,
I will look back at, if I'm reducing everything to give everybody that percentage, yes, it affects
well,
anything in the future. If we're not, and this is just the direction, is we're gonna keep the budget the same, and this is what we're recommending as then there's no effect on it. Yes, I can move that employee and pay
we need.
what I budgeted for, but if I'm changing the
Right.
budget amounts, I can't.
But you don't necessarily have to spend the budget amounts.
Right.
And that's what we're saying. So we're saying you have a 3.5% COLA. You have 3% for raise, for merit. And that is different than promotion, because you have to fill a position if we have someone leaving. And you've already given us that number, and I believe that we're all on board with that. And then you have to fill their position.
So this is just a question from my understanding, would you approve the budget as is, but direct sent to the city manager for this percentage for COLA and this percentage for a raise.
For merit,
For merit, okay, yes. For COLA and merit.
yes.
So it's not changing the amounts on the budget.
You know, I'm not asking, you don't have to change a budget, I'm saying don't spend it.
Okay,
In,
and that, okay, that's a better understanding. I was trying to go back to figure out how I reduce those amounts down to
okay, so,
that amount you asked me.
so if I need to amend my motion, let me amend my motion, that it says, we're doing,
Before you do that,
okay,
let's just continue, let's advance the conversation about the youth city council just for a minute. How many students went to USU?
This year,
Yeah,
17.
okay. What if, is there an opportunity to limit it to 15 and still give the same, a similar contribution from the city to each 15 that would have normally gone to 20?
so,
I mean, there is. Why do you want to limit the youth, is my question. I mean,
Yeah.
why are we limiting the youth?
Right.
because there was thought that some of the kids that went this year thought it was spring break, is what I was told from someone who's involved at Utah State. And
Yeah.
we don't need to send kids who think it's spring break.
Correct.
We need to send
Well,
kids
correct.
who
Well,
We
want
we all
leadership.
agree with that.
Yeah, we agree. I want to be just really cautious here. We are talking about youth.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get too protracted on this issue. There were youth that were asked to no longer be a part of our council. And the consequences have been multiple, in that we also had our youth city council leaders, who are fabulous, asked to no longer be a part of our council. I have lost sleep. I've lost a lot of sleep on this one. And I agree with the idea here. If this is going to be what we're going to get stuck on with our budget, I agree that we can make do with less. We absolutely can. I would be happy to do that if we can proceed
I'm wondering
forward.
if we can find a middle ground. I'm just asking.
I'm
Well,
okay. I'm okay with the middle ground if the middle ground is
we s-
65 or if it's,
But if
but
we
again-
spent only 61 this year,
correct.
then 55 is not reducing it very much.
We also have, when we lost our YCC leaders, we also have not done anything in the interim. I am a liaison from council, and I am not over our YCC. So in the time that we have not had leaders, we have also not met as a YCC. The youth have not met. So I don't know if that represents cost or not. I'm okay. Again, if this is going to be the sticking point of our budget, I think that we can proceed and make up for that with donations or something else. I do not have a problem with lowering that number. I would prefer, though, that we just come to an amicable decision on this.
Would you be willing to modify your amendment to say 65?
6?
6?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's great.
Okay, so we have a budget of 7,500. So far, we've spent 6,100. So we could come in next year, it doesn't matter what the budget is, we could come in next year at 4,000. So why are we so flippin' hung up on a $7,500?
Right, let's take it all
Budget.
out.
Well, no.
No,
But before
That was
we-
very facetious.
Before we escalate, here's what I will say. When we have a
Let's move
budget
on.
set, we have this cap, right? That is our hard cap. We don't have to spend that much, and I agree
Right.
with that. So there is genuinely room here for us to move forward on this, in my opinion. I don't want us to get caught up on this too much. Partially because we are also moving forward with our complete budget. And I recognize, though, that this sticking point is trying to drive home that the concerns here are legitimate, and I understand that. Where this feels like we're maybe treading into actual descriptions of how YCC should function going forward. I'm less open to that right now. If we have a budget number, I'm okay with moving forward. But the difficult decisions ahead for how council is going to be, we're going to have new rules, I'm certain, and there's going to be new expectations.
Then,
That's just fine. I just don't want to get caught up on $1,500 for too much time here.
Yeah, it's really 2,000, but
$2,000 or whatever the amount is, but
I personally would prefer 65, but
okay.
if,
But I think it's
I
kind of a
understand.
statement that says,
You don't support the youth as much as we
that
did
is not
before?
my statement.
no.
My statement is,
That's how I'm
this needs
taking
to
it.
be a privilege for the kids. They need to understand it's a privilege. They go to the meetings. They have a code of conduct that is enforced, and that they have skin in the game, perhaps more than $50, because that's not much in this day and age. And that we don't hear reports back from the Chamber of Commerce saying that the Fruit Heights Youth City Council was up there having a party. And,
I am disappointed that you would characterize them that way in this
it
public
wasn't me
meeting.
that characterized them that way.
I'm sorry.
Well,
That's not
can we-
accurate.
Can we step back
can
from
we
this
pause
conversation
just
for a moment?
second? 'Cause
Yeah.
I feel like perhaps we're getting into too much detail.
Yeah,
And
let's
I
I
don't.
think that,
escalate a little bit here.
I think that
So,
we.
I'm
I- I-
disappointed
I
in
think
more than one way.
I've
No, no,
talked to
no.
several, I've talked to several of you, and none of you want the youth to be impacted. I feel like it's time to move on.
Yep.
If you could go with 65, I would like it.
okay.
Can we just move on?
Yes,
It's not appropriate.
let's move on. I agree with that.
Okay, but I
think
just
we've had
wanna-
an
I agree.
opportunity
I wanna
to say-
Can
clear-
Can I make a
Not
recommendation
appropriate.
for the motion?
I want to,
So I accept his modification, of the motion to 6,500.
Okay.
Can you
And I
do
think
that
you were gonna
as,
restate the-
will, we,
And restate
Okay.
that the COLA will be 6.5%. The merit,
no,
I like the 6.5, let's go with that.
sorry, the merit will be
That's what I heard.
3%. And there will be not an impact to backfilling positions as people leave. We need to, as we need to promote, we promote. And there's certainly, if someone is promoted to someone else's job and their responsibilities, they're going to have to be paid accordingly.
But on merit increases, you don't have to give them that whole amount.
Right?
So I
It's
don't know
true.
what the big issue is about the merit increase again, too.
I don't think we need a pot of $48,000 for that.
But we might use 10,000, we might use 30,000, what does it matter? That's up to Darren running his employees. I don't know what your issue
That
is.
is up to the city council that is
No,
responsible
but what's
for
your
the
issue
checkbook.
with employees?
Can I make one suggestion on, Mylene, this is just on your motion, so we can keep the budget balanced. Just direction on those things, along with the budget, use it as a direction. The council directs as we go through this budget, we approve the budget as it is budgeted with those two items.
Right.
That
Okay.
when we get to the U City Council, that we're recommending that the cap be closer to 66,000 or 6,500, and the motion that the cost of living is this, and
But
the
I'm
merit
not-
will be this. That way, the budget will stay balanced, and then, but there is direction for me.
For you.
To be able to follow that without having to go back and changing numbers and trying to get something changed, and once again, so people can see it.
Okay.
Is
That's fair.
that
I
okay?
agree with that.
That's
I think
fair.
that
Thank
that's
you.
fair.
I think
I think that's fair.
I
So
think
does that
that's
need to
what-
be restated
I
as the
think that's the
substitute
intent
motion?
of what she was trying to
Yes.
say.
Okay, that's
I
fine.
think
I just
you've
need to make
just-
sure it's kind of
I think you've
clear and
stated
understandable
what. I
that
feel like the
we're
communication
adopting the
is
budget,
complete.
but here is the direction from the council on these two things.
And that's clear to you?
Yes,
Perfectly
and
clear.
that's clear
Okay,
to me.
that's all that, okay, that matters.
So.
Okay.
But then, if we don't pass that motion, does it revert back to the first one, or?
Okay.
So just, I beg your pardon, I beg your pardon. But just so that it's clear, that the budget is remaining as is with direction?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I wanted to clarify.
Can you make that motion like that, so we have that recorded?
Let me restate my motion.
Thank you.
Okay.
So the
Substitute
motion,
Substitute motion.
another substitute motion, is that what it is?
I don't know.
You
if
Oh,
were
we're-
I'm
just
restating-
revising your
re-
substitute.
Okay.
Or, yeah.
I'm revising my
Amending.
substitute motion to include $6,500 for the youth city council with the caveat that the budget amounts stay the same, but we just ask them not to spend more than that. And in addition, on the salaries, that we leave the budget alone as it sits. We provide for promotions that you have included for us, and we provide for a 3.5% COLA and up to a 3% merit. If you wish to spend more than that, we would ask that you come back and speak to us.
And the U City Council.
She
Okay.
did state that.
You started. So,
Okay,
She
thank
did-
you
she
for
did pick
restating that. Is that well stated for the record?
I will second that motion.
No, Gary already did.
Oh, you already second that motion? Then I will,
I don't know
then
if
I
we
will
have
wait
a-
to vote.
Okay. The second still stands on the amended motion,
Second.
right? Okay. Okay, so we have now an amended substitute motion on the table. All in favor of, roll call for this. Okay, roll call for this amended substitute motion.
Gary Anderson,
Yes.
Mark Trill,
No.
David Hale,
Yes.
Eileen Moss,
Yes,
Blake Winslow.
Yes.
Okay, the vote is 4 yeses to 1 no. That amended substitute motion passes, and so the first motion dies. Okay, the budget is adopted under that motion, so we have our budget adopted at last for the coming fiscal year. Thank you, council. Last item of action is to approve this June 2nd city council minutes.
I made a couple of little tiny things, I believe yesterday. Was Haley in? Did she accept?
She's on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she did?
Darren, did Haley get an opportunity to see the corrections yesterday, or was she already out?
She was already gone yesterday.
I can't remember when I made the corrections. It was little tiny things.
Is it, I'm okay with moving forward with it, but do you feel like she needs to see that before we go?
What I saw
What was
was,
the correction?
what I
Just
saw
so I
was,
know.
what I saw was like an added D to a word.
Yeah, I changed a word
And a
from,
lower, or from a
Oh.
lowercase to an uppercase.
Exactly.
To me,
Okay,
that's
yeah,
not
that's fine. Yeah,
changing
we can do
any, I mean,
it
Content.
didn't change any intent.
yeah, so I think we can go ahead and proceed. I mean, she doesn't need to be here to put a D and make a
Okay,
capital.
motion to approve the June 2nd, 2026 council.
Motion from Gary. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Blake. All in favor of approving those minutes, please say yes.
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 Yes?
Any opposed, say no. Minutes are unanimously approved. Thank you, council. All right, we have no tabled items. Are there new business for any upcoming meetings that council would like to mention or request?
No, it's not an updated, it's not an update. I just want to remind the public that we have now entered into our fire restriction period. Our mountains are incredibly dry right now, and we are looking at a weekend with projected relative humidity of 8 to 10% with winds. A single flame could create a real problem in our community. So I invite our community to watch for anything that you're seeing. If you're seeing people starting campfires, please let us know, let the fire department know. We cannot stand to have I shouldn't say we cannot stand. I would just like to remind the public, it's something that's been on my mind. So we have entered the period where we are restricted in our burn zone, so.
It is very apropos. Thank you, Blake. That is true. There have, someone posted that there had been some of that type of activity up on the mountainside
Yeah, at the top
last week,
of
and not good, not good.
Rock Ridge on the north end, people continue to build campfires up there.
Yeah, not good.
So we need
Please,
to
if you're
maybe
up
make
there in
sure the
that area,
sheriff is on
keep your
that.
eyes open, call
maybe
the police.
Well, maybe that's something that we look into, maybe putting up more signage about wildfire risk, but I don't want to
yeah,
get too into that one,
Uh,
but
Very important, actually, very important. Thank you.
appreciate it.
And then I would hope that we can maybe go back and look at some of these things. I know in speaking with Darren, he's already planning some changes to his budget format for the next years that maybe will make it a little bit easier for us to follow it. And so I'm hoping that some of these suggestions that we've had and that he has, maybe we can speak to those fairly soon while it's fresh on our minds.
Budget format, okay, I'm not sure.
He's,
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean,
he's-
we're working on different things with the budget document.
I think.
It was
I think
I'm
not sure if
she's
that's what
saying
you're
is that
referring to.
Darren's aware of them.
Yeah,
And,
I've already started the process, I just not
Right.
changing
And-
anything
and
during the project.
I think she's just trying to say that she don't want to get lost between now and next budget season.
next February. We don't want to be stepping in this next February the same way.
Calendar items, June 19th, the office will be closed. Juneteenth, federal holiday. June 23rd is the primary election. This is a polling place, I believe. Also drop box right out there. You can drive by and drop your ballot in if you prefer that. Ballots do have to be received by election day, I believe now. They cannot just be postmarked by election day. So if you have not yet done that, make sure you get those in or come in person to vote that day. June 29th, America 250, right here at the city building, 5:30 to 8:30. I should say building and grounds, really mostly the park. And enjoy that evening. And again, if you have Americana things to display, bring them in next week, please. And June 30th will be a planning commission meeting. It was moved from the 23rd when we realized that was the primary election. Can't hold planning commission when we're having an election here. So that bumped planning commission back to the last Tuesday, which is the 30th this month. June 3rd is the day office will be closed in observance of the 4th of July. And July 7th is did I say June?
You did.
I meant July. July 3rd, closed in observance of the 4th of July. July 7th is our next city council meeting. So I will look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Blake?
Second.
Second from, I think I heard Gary first. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
We are adjourned.